Hi everyone, Maxine here with Tink and I Treasures. Welcome back to my studio. Today I have a little different project that you may find interesting. And basically this could work for a lot of different things. But today we're going to make our own watercolor journal. Okay, so what I have here is watercolor paper that just came out of a pad, not a block, a pad. A block is where all the sides are kind of glued down and you have this one solid block. Those are awesome. Don't touch that. This is a pad where the sheets are only glued down on the one side and they flip up. This is a perfect project for that type of paper. It could be really high quality like Archer's, or not so much, you know. So it just depends, you know. Maybe you're using cheaper paper as a practice journal or a sketching journal. Or you're using, you know, higher quality paper for, you know, your actual watercolor. So any way you want to do it. So let's get on with the project. So we have our sheet of paper, and this can be any size. You can cut these down if you want a smaller one. This pad was, let me see, it's a 9 by 12 papers in this pad. So you can make it any size depending on the pad you have. You could cut these down and make them smaller. You can get a larger pad or a full sheet of watercolor paper and cut that down to just about any size you want. Any size that would be manageable anyway. There's always that. Watercolor paper isn't the thinnest. Well, it shouldn't be, right? This is a 140-pound cold press. Like I said, it's not a real high quality or expensive brand. It's just something I got at the store, I think. But it's great paper for practicing, for swatching some watercolor or some paint in general. You could use it for all kinds of important things, like, you know, seeing, okay, what color is this really, or how is this color going to react with that color before you actually put it on your, you know, your painting itself. You could you could use a journal like this to test things. So I'm just doing a few sheets here. I don't you know, this would be a super long video if, you know, I were to do a full thing. So I'm only doing a few sheets just to give you the idea, and you can take it from there. Like I said, this can be any size. You can cut this down. So anyway, you want to take one sheet and sandwich it in to the next sheet, just like that. So you have a 2-sheet signature, as it were. So you take one sheet and sandwich it into the next sheet. One sheet, sandwich it into the next sheet. So we have 3 signatures. Now, like I said, this can be any number. Doesn't, you know, it can be any number. I can show you a couple of examples later of what I mean. So anyway, we have 3 here. You want to take your pencil Now you can be precise and measure, or you can eyeball it. It really doesn't matter. This is the placement. We're going to use a 3 pamphlet stitch. So you're all familiar with that, right? I'm just marking the placement. Okay, open this up, get out my little thing that I use for this. The only thing you want to make sure of, especially if you haven't precisely measured, is to keep your top and your bottom on all your pages so they'll line up. If that makes sense. So you just take a pokey tool and make your holes. Okay. And you take your thread and your needle and you go in from the outside, back through the middle. Bring this through, you leave yourself a tail. Back in through this way. Go, goodness sakes. Okay, back through the middle, right? So you're coming back up through the middle. Make sure that this is tight, nothing kinked up or anything, right? And then you want to tie this off. Try to get this as tight as you can. And then I like to double, triple knot it. Triple knot. Hope everyone's doing well, having a good week. Enjoying your summer. Okay. Fell. Something fell. Oh. Okay. For heaven's sakes. How do we manage to get into these predicaments? Okay. Sorry, excuse me, guys. Just, oh, for heaven's sakes. I tell you, you touch one thing and everything comes down. Okay. So there's that one. So you just do this again. Make your holes. Or you could go through all of them and make your holes. So, you know, either way you want to do it. You could get a production going here and do each step, you know. So, there. So, yeah, you can get a production going and do each step many times. Go back in through the middle. Leave a tail. Back out. And this is the outside, as it were. Back in through the middle. Right. Leave enough tail that you can actually do a knot. Get that as tight as possible, and then give it a couple more just to make sure it's secure. You don't want your book, your journal coming apart. Oh, for heavenly days. There we go. Okay. Number 2 and number 3. In. Okay. Through the middle. Back out, back in again. And you could use this same process for making a journal too, you know. Could you have more than 2 pages together? I don't know. I haven't tried it with 3 or 4 together. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't work. Okay, so there's that. All right. So now we have our three signatures. Okay, now I am going to cut these tails off a little bit more so they're not quite as long. It's not important. You won't see that. Okay, so now we have our 3 together. Of course, you know, I'm sure what you're going to do is going to have more than 3, right? This is the tricky bit, and this is what you have to figure out before you do this project. So what you need is a couple of boards. I've got really stiff chipboard here. What would work really well, actually, are those stir sticks that you get in the paint department. Those would be excellent for this. But you want something that's going to secure these 2 sides. So yeah, this is the trickier part of this whole exercise. You want binder clips that are going to be big enough for your project. So that's important too. Don't make your book, or don't make so many signatures that this is so wide that you don't have any way of securing it. You know, these can only do so many. These could do a little bit more. If you have some other kind of clamps, you could totally use, but yeah. So you need something that's going to fit your project, if that makes sense. So that is the tricky bit. You want to make sure that everything is lined up side to side and flush here. Okay, yeah, you just want to make sure that all your pages are flush to the end. So you've got everything that's right there. Everything is flush together. Okay. So then what you need is PVA glue, which is for bookbinding. It's flexible. It remains flexible once it's dried. That's like the most important element of this glue, is that it stays flexible. So I don't know enough about glues to tell you what else you might use. I just know that PVA glue works. And it's not expensive. This is not expensive at all. It's not like buying art glitter glue or something like that. No, it's not real expensive. So you want to, I hope I'm in frame, you want to take a brush and just brush along this outer side. Okay. And you want to make sure that you don't want to get in there. If if that makes sense, you don't want to get in there. You want the glue to glue these edges together, and that's it. You don't want it to get down inside. So that's why you want some really good clips that is going to keep everything together tightly. So yeah, you just do this. You just do a light coat. You might go over it a couple times, but you don't want to glob it on, and you don't want to poke it down in there, because then you're going to have your pages glued together in such a way that you're not going to be happy. All right, so I am going to get a couple more of these, and just make sure that this is really, really tight across there. That's what you just want to make sure, that whatever you have is just holding these pages just as tightly as possible while this is gluing. Because like I said, you don't want the glue, oops, you don't want the glue down in there. You want it to glue the outside, okay? So there's that step. And you let that dry. Get that in water. You let that dry. You come back, and you might want to do that again for a second layer and let that dry. Okay. Now, this is one that I did earlier, and this is where we are right now. So this is all glued together, and see, this is a much bigger one, much thicker. And I'll tell you, I had an issue with thickness. Those large clippies just barely went over this. So that's why I say make sure you have some kind of clamps that's going to work for your project before you get to this point where you're needing something. So these are all glued just on the edge here. The chipboard that I used kind of got glued too. Now I could remove this, but I'm actually thinking about using it in the process. So anyway, here you go, and they lay flat. Okay, so there's one of the middles. And see, right here is where two of them are together. So if you get glue down in too much, you're going to get glue in here and actually glue these pages together, and that's not what you want, because you want all your pages to lay flat and not be all glued together. Here's one of the tails that are showing, so I could cut that off. But anyway, so that's where we want to be, right here. Okay, so now we want to cover. So I have a piece of scrapbook paper that I want to use. You can use anything. Does this have a direction, I wonder? I don't think so. Okay, so yeah, you can use anything you want to make a cover for it. So here is a smaller one that I made earlier, and after this was done, I took some fabric and wrapped around here and just glued that down. So that's what I need to do next on here, is take some fabric and wrap it around and just glue that down just to reinforce the spine area. So here we are, and as you can see, this is even a smaller one. The fabric is on, everything is ready to go. Pages are all nice. There's the signature, the middle of the signature, and then this is where the 2 pages come together. Okay. So I have my chipboard cut out and ready to go for this size. Now you want this to be a little bit bigger. So I think this is like a 1/4 of an inch total bigger. And so I have 1/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch about on the top and bottom. And it's about 1/8 of an inch longer as well. This is not as important. That could be flush if you want it to be. It's a matter of appearance and how you like it. But this definitely needs to be a little bigger. And you'll see why in a minute. Okay. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with having to do, how to do this. So I am just going to continue using the PVA glue. Why not? For doing this. I should have kept what I had poured out earlier. But you know, this glue, like I said, it's not expensive. So you don't have to be quite as precious with it as you do with art glitter glue. At least I'm very precious with my art glitter glue because it is so expensive. So I'm just gonna get this spread out really good. I'm gonna make sure I get the edges really well. Now you could use double stick tape for this if you wanted. And you could use, you know, any glue that you typically use as well. You know, art glitter would work, Reptile would work, 3-in-1 or Fabric Fix would work. You know, whatever you have. Okay. So I'm just gonna lay this down. Okay, trying to get it straight. Easier said than done. Okay, where is my bone folder? Did I miss it? Did I not get it out? Okay, so I'm just going to press this down. Okay, so, and then we want the spine, which I just kind of eyeballed. Basically, this was a remnant from cutting this out, so I just thought, okay, that works. So basically, you want a little bit of a gap. You could use the material to measure that. You could use a ruler. You can eyeball it. You just want like 1/8 of an inch or so, just so it can move freely. If you get these too close, they won't open like you want them to. Okay. So basically Get it down there, make sure it's straight. Run that through, make sure that it's even. So you have the same gap all the way. Okay. Press that down. Okay, and then the last one. See, you can kind of judge that. Yeah, if you have them too close, then they don't have the room to bend. Okay. And the last one here. Of course, you know how to do this, I'm sure, but just in case somebody's new and don't know all these processes, I just want to kind of cover it a little bit, although you can find a lot of videos that go into much more detail on this process. But yeah, I'm just introducing a new idea for a project, perhaps, in making your own watercolor journal. Okay, and then just make sure that, oh no, I ran out of room here. Oh poo, I thought I measured that out. But you make sure that whatever you're using is big enough. I did check that out and it was fine. Maybe I left too much space over on this side. Oh boy. Okay, well, anyway, you get the idea. Make sure I have the space there. We can fix anything else, but if I don't have, you know, adequate room there, then it will not function appropriately. Okay. So the only reason I'm doing this is because we need to get to the bit that involves the actual watercolor and the project. So then what we want to do is, oh, that's going to be odd. I'll have to deal with that, but no matter, that's not going to hamper what I need to show you. So I want to bring these up. I like to do a dry fit before any glue is brought out. I want to try and fold the paper over so it knows what we want it to do. Okay, and bring this over tight, bring it up tight. Okay, and then we want to glue this down. I always do the long side first. I don't know why. I can't tell you any exact reason why the long should be done first, because I've seen other people do this and they do the short first, and you know, it doesn't seem to make a difference. So why I always do the long first, I don't know, but I do. And but I don't believe it makes a difference. If anybody knows a reason why it might make a difference, let me know. I'm just going to crease that down a little bit where the spine is. A little bit more glue. Oops. Okay. Yeah, so this PVA glue works really well. It's a really good glue to use. And like it said, it stays flexible after it dries, which could be a benefit in a lot of projects, you know. I've only used it with heavier paper, so I'm not sure, you know, how it would work with, you know, copy paper that you might be using in a journal, or to glue down ephemera or something like that. I'm not sure how it reacts, whether the paper would crinkle like it does sometimes when you use, you know, too wet of a glue. So yeah, I don't know, because I've only ever used PVA when I'm working with heavier papers and this type of projects. So it'd be interesting to find out, you know, how it reacts to, you know, thinner, lighter papers, gluing down ephemera and things like that, and whether it would warp or wrinkle the paper. Because, you know, if it worked well for stuff like that, it would be a cheaper alternative to art glitter, that's for sure. I don't know why I never thought about that before now. But yeah, I mean, I love art glitter and Reptile. You've heard me talk about Reptile before. Reptile is very similar to art glitter glue. It does give you a little bit more wiggle room in placement. It doesn't grab quite as quickly as art glitter glue does, and it's a little less expensive. So, you know, that's a good thing. Okay, now I did not get out a paper for lining, so my bad. That looks nice. I like that. Okay, so I want this to be all the way. I hate having to measure and be precise about things. Seriously. Oh. Oh, heavens. Yeah, I don't like having to be precise. Okay, so let's give that a cut. So I'm just going to do one side to show you the idea, okay? So, yeah. And now this needs to be this wide. Okay, so all right. Okay, so this goes here. All right, this is going to go on, oh boy, was that right? Yep. It seems to be just a tad, just ever so slight. Too much. Okay, so so we want to get some glue. My glue is starting to dry, and starting to dry on my brush, which is not a good thing. You want to get this glue off your brush. You want to make sure that you put it in water right away. Because yeah, if it dries on your brush is done. So I'm going to get that in water right now because it's starting to get pretty tacky. Okay, so I want to line this up with the inside here. And get it so it's right on, lined up good. And you want to make sure that this is stuck down well and that we've got no bits that are poking out or anything. Okay, now we want to take, and this doesn't necessarily have to match exactly. Oh, see, it is too long. All right, just had to do that. Okay, so yeah, so this doesn't necessarily have to match this. You can, you know, do whatever kind of design element you want to. Just thinking that this one is probably too wide as well. My measuring was a little off. So just a tad bit. Okay, now we want to glue this down. Okay. All right, where do we need to be here? I might have been better off had I actually measured stuff. Okay, so I'm mark that right there. Actually, no, we want to mark it right, let's say about here, okay? So, that works. Right. Okay, so this one's down here covering the bottom, and then this one would be up here going all the way to the edge, you know, just lining the inside like you typically would do, right? Only this is going to be left open. So we want a thin bead. Oh my. So I'm going to get out the art glitter because we want a thin bead along the two ends here. You could have a little bit more on this side, but on the two ends you want just a thin bead of glue. Come on. Oh geez. I said thin. Did you hear me tell everyone thin? Now, if you made your cover even bigger than what I did, see, I only went about 1/4 of an inch overall bigger, but if you went a little bit more than that, like maybe a 1/2 inch, then you would have a little bit more wiggle room. Okay, so let's get this lined up with the sides and the end and everything. Get that glued down. Hopefully I'm in frame. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's hard for me to tell. I don't have a setup but where I can actually see what I'm doing, or how I'm, you know, how I'm on the camera. I don't have a setup that shows me that. So, all right. So there we have it. And you have a little sleeve here, right? Now I'm gonna, hopefully that's having a chance to dry. Okay, so you do the same thing on this side, right? To do the exact same thing on this side. And then what you do with your papers is you actually take the first page and slip it in. I have more than one there. So, you know, you could do, when you're putting this together, you could make sure that your first page and your last page is maybe some other kind of paper or stronger paper. And that's kind of why I left these on here, because I thought I could use this to slide into the pocket. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if that's quite wide enough, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway. But you want to take your first page and slip it into this pocket. Oh, that's going to have to be cut. That's probably too long. So you can cut this first one down a little bit so it's not quite as long. And slip it in there, right? So you want your spine to end up where, you know, where the spine needs to be. But see, it just slips in. And you do the same thing with the back sleeve, right? So that's what holds this into your book. So you can actually spend a lot of time making this cover if you wanted. You can make this cover very elaborate. Maybe you do a painting that you want on the cover. So you make your book and your cover real elaborate. And then you can make the insides, and when this is filled, you could slip it out and slip in another one. See? How cool is that, huh? So the book is held in here by these sleeves, but it can be removable and another one put in. So yeah, you just want to make sure that what you're putting in there is long enough. You can make this sleeve, you know, you can make this a little bit more, but not too much, because you want to be able to get it in and out. So anyway, but that's the idea, guys, is to just make your insides separate from your cover, and this just slides in and out. So I hope you liked that idea. I hope you like this project. And like I said, you know, this could be used for a lot of different things. It could be used for, you know, a journal. This process could be used for a journal, or, you know, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, that's it, guys. That's the project. That was the idea. Make your own art journal. It doesn't have to be for watercolor. It could be multimedia. In fact, multimedia paper is a lot cheaper than watercolor paper. So yeah, if you want an art journal for multimedia, for playing around, for, you know, trying out new things, new products, what have you, this would be a perfect journal to do that in. And you can personalize it, and yeah, just use it over and over and over again, making a new inner part. So anyway, I hope you like this project. I hope it all made sense. Let me know in comments what you thought of this, if it was a great idea, or, you know, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Which, you know, you probably have. You probably have. I'm not saying that, you know, I am a genius that came up with this. I'm not really sure. I mean, it seems like it's something I thought of, but who knows? I could have been inspired by something else I saw. Anyway, yeah, I'm not saying this is my idea, but I think it's a pretty cool way to make your own art journal, whether it's, you know, nice watercolor paper or multimedia paper that you use for experimentation, or to do mixed media type art. Make your own art journal. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. Please take care of you. Love each other. I hope to see you next time. Please subscribe if you haven't. Hit the like button and leave me a comment and let me know what you think. What you think of this. Hopefully you liked it enough to click the little like button. Anyway. So until the next time, take care, and I'll see you then. Bye.